everyone. Welcome to Comfort Legacies book review. And today we have Jasmine. And Jasmine is going to tell us about her story and her journey on starting her self-publishing book with her son, JR. JR.
Jair.
JR. And I'll let her introduce herself and go ahead. Take the floor.
Thank you
Take the
so much.
couch.
Thank you so much for having me. So Jair's Collections is a brand of children's books that focuses on mental health, emotional intelligence, inclusiveness, and faith understanding for children. So early on, I noticed that I had big emotions myself, and I was never taught like skills to control your emotions, how to understand your emotions. And so that caused me some problems growing up. I wouldn't say like it caused me like to drive and have a mental break, but I noticed that it was an issue for me. And so as an adult, I wasn't into adulthood that I saw that I was seeking help. So once I became in the space where I'm better and I saw therapy, um, I realized that the disconnect happened in my childhood where
Okay.
I didn't learn. So I was always a fan of writing. So I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna write these books for Jair so he has a better starting point in life. And as I wrote them and other people read them, I felt selfish to keep them to myself because I have a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, and you never know who could benefit from the story. So I decided to publish them and make them available for other parents because that is something that I think lacks one, diversity,
Yes.
and two, concepts that can help your children to better manage their emotions and be more aware and understand them. So, thus Jair's collection was birth.
Okay. That sounds awesome. So Jair is your 2-year-old son,
Yes,
and the collection part is the collection of books.
yes, it's
Okay.
yes. My goal
Oh,
is for any emotions and whatever you're going through for children, you should be able to come to the line of or the brand of books and find something to help.
awesome. Awesome. Now, can you show us one of the books?
Oh yes, this is the first book releasing March 31st on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. Noble. No.
Uh-huh.
This one is called Now I'm Really Mad, and this is a children's story about controlling anger. This is Rita, and she has big emotions, and so you'll go on a journey with her and her family to find ways to constructively manage her emotions and not be so angry and show them, and find ways to express them in a better ways.
Okay. Can you flip through the pages a little bit?
Yes.
You don't
So
have to. You don't have to show it all, but you can just flip through a couple. And you
yes.
said you just received this book yesterday.
Oh yes, I was so excited to see
So
receive
excited.
the proof.
Oh.
So this is one of the illustrations, and this is the very first. So I'm really excited. My son was so excited; he couldn't wait to start reading it. So
Oh.
it's just where
Beautiful.
I'm really excited for everyone to get a feel of books that help their children
Yes.
and help themselves. You never know.
That's a wonderful idea and wonderful collection. I know many parents will appreciate that. And I just love that title. Now I'm really mad. I think I had a niece or so that would do that. Now I'm really mad, I wanted to do the same thing with my grandson. He's 2 years old. I mean, well, the 4-year-old is what I'm talking about. He has allergies. And
Mm.
so he wrote a book about the allergies. And so I said, well, are you going to tell them what the allergies are, what the meaning of the allergies are? He says, no, I can't have peanut butter. That's what I want you to know. I want you to know that. My allergy is I can't have peanut butter. I was like, well, okay. So what do you do? And I eat egg salad sandwich. He loves Daniel Tiger Neighborhood, right? So yeah, they really do connect with the books and the stories. Oh my, I wouldn't be here today had it not been for me telling him a story. So, so walk us through a little bit about your self-publishing. I can tell that you are very emotional and into your collection and giving back. So, but what was it like for the mechanics side of producing the book, self-publishing?
Uh, that was a roller coaster, a good roller coaster. Considering this is my first time, there was a lot of things that I just did not know to do, and things that I didn't do. But in hindsight, the experience, one thing that I can say is proofread. It'll cost you a lot of money later if you don't. To have about 3 or 4 different editors that will only help. That will only help. Secondly, don't be afraid of negative feedback.
Hmm.
Everyone may not like the book, or they may like the book, but it's always good to take feedback constructively. And I'm the type of person, I don't think anyone just maliciously just will say bad things about it. That before your public stage, you're usually showing it to family, friends, people you trust. So the feedback is pretty much constructive. So
Hmm.
that was a learning experience for me, to be able to open my ears more.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And
So go into that a little bit. What did you experience with that, especially with family? Why do you say that, be a little bit open? What kind of criticisms or construction did they have for you?
um one of the actually came from my husband, and it was about the sentence structure. And in
Okay.
your head, you know exactly how you want it to sound, but you have to be aware that it may not sound that way to other people. So you
Right.
want to get that feedback. And considering that you're self-publishing, you pretty much have a good sense of self-awareness and what you want and how you want it to sound.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to take that feedback into account, because we can't see the full picture sometimes, and other
Absolutely.
people's perspective will point out some things that you may not consider, and just consider them.
Right. Just consider them. That's a good point. Just consider them.
Yeah.
Okay. So that it's always a little bit contentious when your husbands or spouses are, have something to say when we know that they are probably the ones that are most likely to be in our corner for sure. But at times you really feel like, you know, um, maybe just being a little bit overcritical or whatnot, or wanting the perfection to come out in. I say my daughter, for instance, she's very, before she even says that it's nice, she's already thumbing through to see where the errors are, So I kind of like, I don't even want you to look at my books, you know.
And the
I'm
funny thing,
skipping you first.
the funny thing is, initially that's the feedback you used to, but I actually found now that those are the the most valuable people to have in your corner when you're doing a book. The people
Hmm.
that can catch errors that you don't see, and that's not afraid to tell you. You get something that was wonderful, that was great, and then you get somebody that was great, but here, this. He's like, oh yes, thank you. You're really paying attention. You're really internalizing it, and you're giving me very good things to implement or and think about. So I
Yes,
love
yes.
it.
That's awesome. Do you feel like when you hear the criticism or constructions from your family member, extended family members and friends, do you feel like they're a little bit hard, they would be a little bit harder on you than per se if someone else that would probably had gone to a traditional type of publishing?
um, I think if it was anybody else but me, yes. and,
Anybody else but
and I
you? Yeah.
think and that's why I'm very appreciative to those who do, because when it comes to my family, I'm probably the first one in my, when it comes to my father's children and my mother's children, that has their masters. So,
Okay.
and
I
I was a
see.
teacher for 3 years in
Okay.
Chicago. So, um, I- they haven't, just because of the credentials that comes behind.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Okay. I feel like sometimes you can be taken a little less serious if because of self-publishing versus if you go through a traditional manner of publishing. And so that's why I asked the question. But because you're at the top of your game, they wouldn't dare. Who are you to tell me? So, right.
Well, I don't know
But
about the world, but my family knows. And
yes,
it is a big stigma with self-publishing that I'm very adamant about changing the narrative for that.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
high quality is, my game. I'm thinking of everything. It was times I would go with my son to Walmart and Target and just go through the books collection, just seeing how the professionals do things, and, you know, imitating what it looks like. And it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, you did your homework.
yeah,
Did your homework.
yeah.
That's good. I haven't heard that one before. That they went through it because I've been hearing more stories that people just kind of fell into it, accidental authors, as one of the ladies said. If they had a great story or they had a traumatic experience and they wrote the story behind it, and then they were moved and pressed to publish. And some went traditional manner. Went the traditional route and others self-published. So for you, I was wondering what that journey was like because you self-published all your books and I guess you did all your homework and it was pretty trying. So how did you just make that leap of faith, that step? What was your first thing to do? I mean, other than the manuscript, what did you do next?
Um, After I wrote the manuscript, I got about three of my teacher friends and had them read
Okay.
it.
So you were looking for proofread and some approvals.
Yeah.
You were looking for reviews right away.
Yes, because these
Okay.
uh t-
Okay.
this I respect so many people in their field and what they're capable of and
Okay.
what they do. So I went to the people that I admire and respect the most,
Okay.
and got their feedback. And once they gave me the green light and I prayed, it was a go.
It was the go. Okay. All right. So you got the green light and the go. Then what did you do next?
Find the illustrator.
Okay. There you go. That
Find the
illustrator.
illustrator. That.
Okay.
Whew.
So, okay, jumping right ahead. Once you found your illustrator, did your illustrator do all your formatting or did you had to go to another step before processing?
So my illustrator did put the text layout um
Hmm.
on there for me, but eventually I did request to get the images without it, so I can go to
Oh,
a professional formatter to do it for me, and that was the best decision I ever made.
really? Really?
that, that was me, because a lot of times illustrators know how to do things, but they're probably not. That's not their expertise.
Yes. So what we're talking about is that you can have an illustrator who knows how to draw and put the pictures together and pull that picture out of your head onto the canvas. But when it comes to doing the technical aspects of it, that's not their area of expertise. And often, even even just putting the text with the picture is a big feat, So, and then formatting it, which is putting it, collecting them all together and making sure that it's in that right formatting position to be able to be, uploaded and on the right um, technical platforms. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Um,
that's why I asked you what were your steps because when I came into it, I didn't. I had someone to help me and assist me with starting the book. So but I was asked to do a lot of things. And through that process, I said, well, it kind of goes to the point of, if you can do it yourself, you know, really don't need anybody to do the rest, because I mean, to do it, but you do learn. And I would have to wholeheartedly agree with you that edit, 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 edit. It's just, you just can't do it enough. And we do trust others. And every time seems like that book touches someone's hand, it needs to be edited again.
Absolutely. I do agree with this is my first book, so I did outsource, but I am a firm believer that you should learn how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But that takes time. But until you are more comfortable with the level that it requires, absolutely outsource for what you don't know how to do, for what you do not know how to do.
Right.
And I
Well, I
think
think the
that's
process,
mhm,
learning what is the
mhm,
next step, that's what I'm going through. Yeah.
mhm,
Before you even know where to outsource it to, you know?
mhm. Oh, absolutely. Have the
Hmm.
manuscript ready because it will save you a lot of time and money later. Edit
Yes.
proof and developmental editing is so important. That's actually after I write it, and I think it's I write books to where I will want to read them to my son.
Right.
So
Right.
after I feel like, okay, I will read this to Jair, then I get it developmentally edited before
Hmm.
I even get it proofread and copy edited, because
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
so important. Um, I can't
For
stress it enough. Yes.
age
Oh,
appropriation
yes.
and whatnot.
Hmm.
Um, I skipped that part a little bit. I kind of consider it as I go, because I figure if they're at that age, they're 2, 3, 4, they're not going to be reading the text themselves. It's going to be a parent, older sibling, or something like that. However, with my little guy, he is the one that's reading. So he caught an error in the book. It was supposed to be 3 years old, and it said old, and he was reading the book. And he says, Grandma, it says 300. You made a mistake. Oh
Oh
my
yes.
goodness. And he never forgets.
Oh
He
yes.
never forgets. And so, and that was on the publish. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So I'm texting her, and she's like, that little kid. Because when he first, this here's a book one. This is Gotta Have That Green Banana. And
Oh.
so this is a story about when I was growing up with my grandmother, and that's how the stories came about. I was sharing it with him, and he fell in love with the story and wanted me to do it over and over again. But in this story, if you can see the bold font here, she had a couple of suggestions, and he said one was a cursive style, and I thought it was kind of cute and fancy, and I thought that was good. But he was like, "No, I don't like that one." I said, "Why not?" He says, "That's cursive. That's how you sign your name." I said, "Okay."
He's so smart.
Yeah. So we went with the bold text because that was kindergarten or preschool appropriate for him, you know. So that's what he wanted to do. So yeah, it's really, really, really funny how he'll go through each page, and he can read very, very well. He can read very well, and that's how he caught the mistake in the other book. I mean, and you know that was, and I had already ordered 25 of the books. Everybody was totally embarrassed. Okay, he embarrassed.
Oh
So I
yes.
had to text the publicist like, on page one.
Oh yes. Oh
And what
yes.
happens, and I have no idea how. I wanted to go back to the proof and say, let me see the proof. But when you leave it to someone else too, you can
Hmm.
have that same issue, because you think that people are, you know, as tedious as you are about some things, and it just, mistakes happen. It could just happen. You could go back in to correct a mistake and leave a mistake, just by going in and changing a sentence or something. So yeah, and it was so funny. I just well, I just gave it over to him. There's another moment. That's my editor. That's your job. That's my co-author. That's your job.
Hmm.
And so yes, and so one book I said brain or brains or something. something he had made a reference to, because what he does in the story, it's like story time, and I have him sitting and I'm asking him, telling him, oh, you know what? Today something happened, occurred at school. And that reminds me of a story. Let me tell you a story about what happened to me at that age. And that's how we get started. And so it's like a story within a story, me telling him a story. And he says, okay, Grandma, what happened? I said, well, you got to turn the page and see. So then I go into the story. And at the end, I says, well, how do you like the story? And then he lets me know how he liked the story. Well, Grandma, you shouldn't have been asking for that agreement. So I put down what he writes. And so in one of the stories I made, I said something about brains, and he was like, it's not brains, it's brain. Oh, and I said, okay, all right, let me check and make sure we have that correct in the book.
Absolutely. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
but he just has that keen sense of catching up. I think he has nothing else to do. He's in a grown folks' space, and quarantine has made him even more. He's just sharper, and so wow, it's really, really a fun thing. So now he's getting a kick out of my errors, or our errors, our adult errors. Okay, and so I think I'll probably just will keep the copies just to have him initial it. I caught this error on Grandma.
Or list him as the editor.
Yes, an editor. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, but yeah, that's awesome. I'm just so. How well are you received? Since you're a teacher, are you a teacher?
I'm a former teacher. I actually left about a year ago the field.
Okay, okay. Well, and is that due to COVID, or you just left the field?
Um, I left the field for various reasons. One, we did move from Chicago to Bloomington, which is like 2 hours away.
Hmm.
Um, Another one, I had to. It was for my mental health.
Okay, all right. Well, we don't have to go. I'm saying. Well, let me tell you, it was my mental health that stopped me from even doing what you were doing.
I love teaching. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would do it on my own
I
terms,
would do
though.
elementary,
Oh yes,
and I
absolutely.
would probably even do high school in between. So at any rate, a lot of authors now self-publishing and everything. They are, well, maybe a lot of everybody. Maybe some of the more traditional authors, they don't have to do some of the legwork that the self-publishers do. So a lot of self-publishers go into the schools and represent the authorships and read their books. I
Hmm.
think, and I think that that's just a wonderful platform. So that's where I was leading with that question. Do you find yourself going to the schools and reading your stories to the kids, or being sponsored that way?
Absolutely. That's definitely the first thing that I've been working on is one. A lot of times with school districts, you have to get approved for their vendors list first. So, what's unique about me having a background in teaching is that I'm able to create lesson plans for my own books with modifications for
Okay.
teachers. So my
Okay.
goal is for you to just have to get purchase the book, and here's the lesson plans, and be able to go, as well as parent guides to do it at home. Since this is a COVID world, a lot of parents are doing helping with helping with the teaching at home.
Right.
So I wanted to make everything readily accessible for parents and teachers to where they don't have to think. They can just, look at the lesson plan, modify how they want. And the inclusiveness, I cannot forget about children who have, ADHD, ADD, or different various form um, of, of learning difficulties. And I wanted to make sure I include them when I'm thinking about the lesson plans.
Oh, okay. That is awesome. So how is that received? Because, that's pretty rigid. Trying to get, I know you have the background, but the teachers are having a hard time trying to present their own uh, work, yeah, programs. And so I was just wondering, how does that work? You know?
Um, yeah, that's actually in the pilot stages. I'm actually a teacher on
Mhm.
outschool.com. And one of the things that you always have to get the author's permission to use the books. So I'm using my own books. So I'm in the pilot stages from what I've researched from other authors, self-publishers who have done that. They swear by it. They say
Okay.
teachers love that. Um, because charter schools are a little bit more, rigid. They want you to use their curriculum, but your regular schools, public schools, where teachers have their more autonomy, they welcome
Really?
those things. Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it would be the opposite. I thought it was the opposite with, with the Montessori schools and whatnot. That I thought that they were a little bit more open to creativity or things like that. But you're saying the regular schools are the ones that
Hmm.
are have more open arms to letting other things in.
Well, the Montessori, I think they're on their own. They're on their own platform playing field. So I believe so. Yes. One of the more charter schools I came from, which is a Common Core curriculum, our lesson
Yes,
plans were strictly given to us, and we cannot deviate from them.
right, right.
So,
Common Core, yes,
yeah, yeah. So
yes.
with traditional, which is if I ever go back to teaching, I will be in a traditional school where I provide my own curriculum. So those teachers, and then daycare is also as well as a is an aspect you can look into because they're looking, they have more autonomy as well.
I really have that backwards. I didn't know that. Like public school, I'm really surprised at that. But that's a good thing to know. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. I have an activity book, two of them actually, and it just has some, it's just fun. It has some alphabets, the days of the week, and something tic tac toe and whatnot. Um, some recipes and some fun things that the kids did during this quarantine time. So they have all of their little science experiment. I'm really big on the science experiments. I love the interaction, and so it goes from science to food. And that was another thing. I tried to do the popcorn experiment and burned up the popcorn, in the bag. And so that was one of the things that MJ says, Grandma, you shouldn't have pushed the button that many times. You only pushed the button one time on the microwave because I kept going like, this popcorn isn't popcorn. It was the actual. I was trying to experiment, it didn't work, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, okay, we need to find the right kind of popcorn to do this experiment. It didn't quite work out. So we have some good ones, and we have some, some flubbers that don't work out so well. But it was really has been fun. But Jasmine, I have held you over.
You're fine. You're
It's
totally
just
fine.
been, I love every time I talk to someone, I learn something new. And it's so enriching to have this platform and have the authors just talk about their personal journeys because every situation is different. It's just like they say everyone has a book within them. This conversations that I've been having has proven that everybody has something to contribute and something that's different. Their own these personal journeys are all so different, and even just constructing the book. And just like you're talking about in school, that's a whole nother level of
Yes.
of your input and making a difference and making an impact and changing. Wow, that the attitudes and positions of kids and giving them some tools to work with. That
Mm-hmm.
is really awesome. Even in the, I think that since I'm foster care background, I think that that would have been a wonderful. Um, that's another platform that could you could reach out to because
Yes.
they need that so badly,
Mm-hmm.
and foster parents. And I always wanted to do a book for foster parents, but it's such an emotional thing. I just like I have so many mixed emotions. And I would have to do 2-part or 3-part series. I was feeling this way about this on this day, but the next day I felt this way about it, and this day I might be feeling this way about it. So there's no blanket thing. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of like that. But anyway, Jasmine, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet your little guy. He's sleeping, but I'm so
Yes.
happy that you jumped on at spare a moment, and so especially, I really, really appreciate your time, and it's just awesome. It's awesome to always, speak to the authors, like I said. And is there any last words that you would like to impart to our audience?
Yes. Marketing starts before the book is published.
Mhm.
Do not be afraid to let the world know that you're starting a book or you're writing, or the cover's done. Just keep the people that you're close to and on social media involved in it. That helps.
That helps.
Hmm.
Okay. Does that help you as an author to push on, or what? Why does that help?
I think it's multifaceted. It will help you because you're getting feedback from people on Facebook. Also, it'll help with future sales because the
Mm.
visibility, people will actually know. No one can buy the book if they don't know exists, if they do not know exists.
No, no, it's coming.
Yeah.
So you find that really works on Facebook, because it seems like in the groups there's so many people that are doing the same things.
Hmm.
Um, I know the feedback is constructive, and there's so much that can be helped. I mean, you can just learn from there.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure that I didn't think that it was a platform that would give you sales. Seems like it's a platform where everybody is looking for everybody to, purchase a book.
Yeah, I wouldn't market to other authors. I would actually look into groups like, depending on what your niche is,
Right.
mom groups, homeschool groups,
Yes.
groups about toddlers, the ones that allow you to post, or either
Mm,
certain days they
true.
allow you to post about what you're doing.
Okay.
I haven't found a benefit in marketing to other authors. It's benefit in learning from other authors.
Yes. And yes, yes, you say
Yeah.
that.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I would get into your niche. If your book is about music, a group about music teachers, um, things like that, I think would be best.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
well, that's been some wonderful, constructive advice. And I really appreciate it. And we'll just take notes, and we'll have you back too, because I'm sure that you have so much more to offer and tell us and inform us about, and whatever your journey, especially in the teaching aspect, and how you're getting your books out there and how it's making a difference. And I'm really excited for you about that. So, and I'm sure
Absolutely.
lots of ideas out there now.
Thank you. Anything I learned and found valuable, I'm a firm believer in each one teach one. So absolutely. Thank you so
All
much. I'm
right.
humbled that you asked me.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
All
Okay.
right. Bye.
All righty. Bye bye.